Hey guys, don't know if you could tell, but this is a 1984 Nissan pickup. I bought this brand new right out of high school. $9,700, if you could believe that, right off the lot. Back then, I had no idea where life was going to take me. I just knew I needed a truck, and this one showed up. This truck's been with me a long time. It's hauled more than I can remember, from here to Montana and back. Snowstorms coming out of Texas, and then it sat about 23 years ago. Last tag I had on it was 2003. But because life has a way of stacking things up in front of what matters, I never forgot about this truck. I think that says something. Because most of us have something like this in our lives. May not be a truck, but something we built, believed in, and cared for. That just got parked for a while. Now that don't mean it's done. What this series is going to be about. This ain't just a rebuild series. I'm not chasing perfect. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm going to tear this truck down all the way to the frame, fix what needs fixing, upgrade what makes sense, which right now, most of it makes sense because everything's dry rotted on this vehicle. And what tells a story, we'll leave it as it is. Some days will go good, some days won't. I'm going to show all of it, the good, bad, and ugly. I know I'm going to have to buy a few tools, certain things we're going to need. So with that being said, we have a Harbor Freight in town, and I'm going to go to Harbor Freight and pick out the best tool that I can. They've got reasonable prices. They're great tools. And a lot of it depends on how you treat your tools. They're all tools have a limit. And Harbor Freight's no different. You get out here beating on it with a hammer, it's going to bust. Just like the name brand. Now, there's a lot of tools I'm going to need. I'm not going to go out here and buy the name brand tools. I don't need them that much. Back when I was in business, yeah, sure. I tried to get the name brand stuff. I thought it was better. This time I'm going to Harbor Freight. A great price for great tools. I'd be happy to give you a review of the tools that we select. There's certain things like English wheels I'm going to need for metalwork. I've got to buy an engine stand to put the engine on. Hand tools. Some of the hand tools that I no longer have, I'm going to have to replace. And Lord, let's don't talk about all the sandpaper and even the gloves. Seems like we can't do anything these days without gloves. I don't know what happened. Our hands got soft or something. If you're in the same shape I am and just want to work on one project or maybe two projects, don't want to spend a fortune just to get a few tools to do projects. This is a good way to see what these tools are up to. And if they don't live up to what I think they should, I'll be the first one to tell you. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but I don't have a fancy camera system. I will do the best I can to give you the best video that's possible. So I don't know if you can tell, a lot of rust on this truck, especially around the bed. They're notorious for rusting out. It's been a long time since I've been sheet metal. And I'll see if I still have the skill set. If not, we'll discover that skill set together. I decided to film this because I'm going to bring something back to life. And I might as well bring you along for the ride. If you like old trucks, hands-on work, or just watching something have a second chance in life, you're in the right place. I've learned over the years, just because something sat still for a while, don't mean it lost its purpose. Just because you've sat still for a while, don't mean you've lost your purpose. Sometimes it just needs the right moment to step forward again, to move again. Without promising too much, I don't know exactly how this is going to turn out yet, or how long it's going to take. And I'm okay with that. We'll figure it out piece by piece, bolt by bolt. This is just the beginning. So yeah, this is the 1984 Nissan King Cab Deluxe 4-wheel drive. It was what everybody wanted back in the day. Let's see if she still got it. I don't know how well you can see the rust on this bed. Panels were pretty much ate through. Inside the bed, the wheel wells are rusted away. So we're going to have a lot of fabrication. Let you get a really close look at the rust here. Yeah, it's pretty much ate up this bed. I mean, you can see right through to the ground on the wheel wells. And I didn't realize till I cleaned some of the junk out of here, the front wall of the bed is clean ate away. Now over here on the driver's side, it's a little bit worse. And you get back to the back over here, the panel's completely gone. Although I do have it laying in the bed, so I'll have something to build off of. And with that, I'll show you how to get by without the fancy tools, using just simple pieces of metal that you might have laying around the house. If you don't have a lot of space, that's okay. You can make do. We're going to pull the bed off and store it up under one of these carports I have. We'll pull the cab off. Do the same thing. Get the frame fixed. Get the engine back in the frame. Get the transmission, the differential, everything back in. And then we'll set the body back on. Then we'll start working on the bed. The bed's probably going to be the last thing that we get accomplished. Unless I just get slow and want to beat on metal for a while. Yeah, the rest of the truck might look pretty rough. But surprisingly, the dash and everything is still in good shape. Door panels need to be cleaned up. And I parked it with both of my books in it. So I've got my books for repairing this. I will tell you a story about this seat. And I think it's seen its better day. But at the time I was using this as a construction vehicle running up and down the road. And this seat, front seat, broke. It's just pot metal frame. I took the passenger seat, put it over on the driver's side. It got me to where I wanted to go. And then that gave me plenty of room to set some of my tools in the front seat, where the front seat used to be. But we're going to upgrade that. I want to go back with some real seats, new seats. Still got the jump seats in the back. I'll have them recovered and probably try to do an upholstery upgrade to the inside of the truck. Don't know if you could tell. This bumper's still twisted. Back in '99, I was working on a job site. And the builder decided he was going to back into my front end of my truck. Up to that point, there was not a scratch on the truck. Bent the bumper, messed up this fender over here. I replaced it. Now, after removing some of the interior components of the engine bay, still not done by far. Like I said before, I don't really want to hot rod this or change much of the stock, but I am going to put a new Weber carburetor on here, change out the brake lines, and do some upgrades. Well, one of the things that I used to do when I first got this truck, y'all going to think this is silly. Never had a four-wheel drive before. All my friends had them, and they were busting mud puddles and coming back covered with mud and tearing out front ends and stripping transmissions. And I just had spent $9,700 on a brand new truck. I wasn't going to mess it up. So I kept the sticks, maybe something like this right here in the back of my truck. And every time I'd come up to a mud puddle, I'd stop, get out, stick this down in the hole, see how deep it was, see how muddy it was in the bottom. It was too muddy. We drove around it, even if we had to go up in the woods. These little trucks were great for that. They're not big. They're not wide. They're light. It would go places that no other truck could. I got one more story to tell. I've got several stories to tell on this truck. But my granddad had a big Chevy dual cab, dual wheel, 454 engine. It was a beast. 1976, I think it was. Well, my dad was driving it, going up a hill, and it lost traction and the back end slid over off the road and almost pinned itself against a tree. So he calls me. He's kind of worried that Dad's going to be upset. My granddad, that is going to be upset about it. So I pull up to it, go around, come in on the front side of the truck, hook up to it with a strap. And I tell my dad, just give it just enough gas to get the wheels spinning just slightly. Well, I locked it down in the four low and I started backing up that hill. All you Chevy guys are not going to want to hear this. But this little Nissan pulled that big Chevy right on top of the hill. Daddy gets out of the truck, walks up to me. He said, "You better not tell Granddad about that." Well, Granddad's been gone. Just realized. My granddad's been gone since this truck got parked. I guess I lost a lot in life during that moment. Put a lot on the side. Anyhow, maybe this builds for my granddad. In that big Chevy 454 dually somewhere. Now listen, this ain't no polished TV show. I don't have a big crew, fancy edits, or $1 million shop. What I've got is one old truck, partial set of tools, and a whole lot of history tied up in steel and rust. This truck right here has been part of my life longer than most things I own. Bought it brand new in '84. Drove it, worked it, parked it. And for a long time, I just walked past it. You know, I guess life happens like that. Things we meant to come back to, projects, dreams, pieces of ourselves, they set longer than we ever planned. But I finally decided it was time. not to rush it, not to flip it, but to do it right, one step at a time. And that's what this channel's about. Yeah, we're rebuilding a truck, but we're also rebuilding patience, know-how, and maybe a little pride in doing things slow, the honest way. Now, I promise you, I'm going to show you the good parts and the ugly parts, the bolts that come loose easy and the ones that make me cuss, the plans that work and the ones that send me back to the drawing board. If you've ever brought something back from the dead, if you ever stood in the shop and thought, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to try, then you're at the right place. So if you want to see where this goes, if you want to see what breaks, what works, what goes wrong, and what we learn along the way, hit the subscribe button and come back to this build with me. I'm not here to pretend I know everything. I'm here to learn, share it, and maybe help someone else along the way who's standing in their own garage staring at a project they've almost gave up on. In the next video, we're going to start digging into getting this bed out of the way, removing it from the frame, stripping the engine compartment out. You know, we're going to go where it takes us. We're not going to just settle on where we think we should go. The story's not about speed. It's about sticking with it. And I'm glad you stopped by. I hope you stick with it. So why not? Have a great day. Oh, so by the way, this will probably be our best friend for the next few months, however long it takes. Good old WD-40. Let's start spraying it down. I know right now I'm just trying to take the bed off, but when I see some bolts, shackles, springs, I'm not ready to take them off yet, but we're going to go ahead and give them a spray. So until next time, why not? Have a great day.